What would you do if your roommate stole your dying grandmother's Holocaust story and sold it to Netflix for $800,000? I never thought my roommate would steal my grandmother's story, but here I am, watching Isabelle Chateau-Du-Bois pitch my documentary to Netflix executives like she created every frame herself. Let me back up. My name is Maya Nakamura Singh, and 6 months ago I was just another broke film school graduate with a powerful story and zero connections. My grandmother Keiko survived 3 concentration camps during World War II, escaped to Japan after the war, met my grandfather who was stationed there with the British Army, and eventually made it to America in 1983 when I was barely 3 years old. Growing up, Grandma Keiko would tell me fragments of her story during our weekend baking sessions. She would measure flour with hands that still trembled slightly when she talked about the cold barracks, or how she ate her mother's wedding ring in the hem of her dress for 2 years. These weren't the sanitized Holocaust stories you see in textbooks. This was raw, personal, filled with tiny human moments that somehow made the enormity of her survival more real. When I started my MFA program at Columbia, I knew I wanted to document her story properly. Not just the horror, but the incredible resilience, the small acts of kindness that kept people human in inhuman circumstances, the way trauma ripples through generations. I spent 2 years interviewing her, collecting historical documents, tracking down other survivors from her camps who could corroborate details. That is when Isabelle entered the picture. Isabelle was my assigned roommate in graduate housing, and honestly, I was intimidated from day one. She had this effortless way of commanding attention, spoke 3 languages fluently, and casually mentioned family trips to their vineyard in Bordeaux. Her father, Henri Chateau-Du-Bois, was some big-shot media executive, and she never let anyone forget it. But Isabelle also seemed genuinely interested in my project. She would sit in our tiny shared living room, listening intently as I transcribed Grandma Keiko's interviews or researched historical context. She asked thoughtful questions, brought me coffee during late-night editing sessions, even helped me organize my research files when everything felt overwhelming. I should have been more careful about what I shared. During our second year, Isabelle started offering more direct help. She had connections at film festivals, she said. Her father knew people at streaming services. She could help me get the documentary seen by the right people once it was finished. The thing is, making a documentary about Holocaust survival is not just technically challenging, it is emotionally devastating. Some nights I would finish editing an interview where my grandmother described watching children die of starvation, and I would just sit in our living room crying. Isabelle would find me there, bring me tea, let me talk through the difficult parts. She seemed to understand the weight of the story I was carrying. During one of those late-night conversations,